Good morning. Welcome to the CBS AM Debrief. I'm David Combe, and having a few little problems with the webcam here this morning, so don't get to see me, which might not be a bad thing anyway. So I'll get straight into it. We've had a pretty good move up overnight over in the US. A lot of this was in response to both fairly positive economic numbers coming out. So that was the durable goods numbers, which we can see over here in the right-hand section here in our economic calendar. Now they came out at 2.5 versus 2.3 being the expectation, and the previous was 0.7%. So that would have been the previous figure. So that was pretty positive. Plus, Bernanke's come out and suggested that he'd do what is required to keep the stimulus flowing. And so those two things combined together, Bernanke with some pretty reassuring words there, along with another reasonably positive number, saw the Dow move up quite nicely, up 95 points, 0.76%. And the rest of the major indices, the S&P 500 up 0.62, a little bit more subdued, and NASDAQ up 0.78. The rest of the Americas were off. And then over in Europe, really pretty much across the board, apart from the FTSE, down very slightly, just 1.2 points. Just recapping on yesterday, we saw our index open up was slightly subdued, and then basically just trailed off throughout the rest of the day to end up being down 40 points. And I think there was a fair bit of anticipation there, a bit of nervousness about what was going to come out of the Federal Open Markets Committee meeting there, which had local investors wanting to move to the sidelines. Perhaps a similar situation with the Hang Seng. The Nikkei, however, was up. And in terms of what the local region is anticipating, we're going to reverse most of yesterday's losses by the looks of things here. SPI is currently pointing up 37, the Nikkei up 20, and the Hang Seng down 131. Move on now and have a look at the commodity space. We continue to be confounded as to exactly what's keeping crude up here. We've had significant builds of inventory levels, and the Middle East factor should be pretty well played out by now, but perhaps it's people shorting the US dollar and buying commodities, and that remains a sustained process here, and so that's keeping or pushing crude back up here now at $113.32, up 56 cents. Natural gas pushing up pretty well here at $4.41. As for the rest of the soft commodities, we have a couple of big figures to the downside here. One being cotton, down 4.36, wheat down 4.13, sugar 1.2, soybean futures less so, down just 0.34, and oats was the other big mover. So a couple of the grains there taking some fairly big hits. Big movers to the upside, cocoa up 2.42, and overall we've got the commodities more moving to the downside than to the upside. Copper at $4.28 and 0.3% was up 3.65%, or 0.86%. Gold at 1,529, just leaving that 1,500 mark behind here pretty convincingly for now, at least. $90 to the upside. Silver at $48.41, up $2.42. And then the currency pairs, euro is buying 1.4783, down just 0.0005. The pound is buying 1.6625. The US dollar is buying 82.1295 yen. and the Aussie's buying 1.0863 USD, and the US dollar's buying just 95.07 Canadian and 0.8749 Swiss francs. Okay, let's have a look at the economic calendar over here. We just touched on these durable goods orders that came through pretty sort of surprising on the upside. Any of these other numbers here, a little bit of a mixed bag. Then we had some numbers out of Canada that were pretty much low significance there. So we'll move on to any other numbers. These are the crude inventory numbers that I mentioned a minute ago. Currently up at 6.1 million. Previous was 1.7, so it's a big change. And distillate, a big number there in comparison to the week before, and gasoline at 2.5 million rather, versus, sorry, that's a negative figure, and negative 1 million there, the previous figure. Okay, we have got some numbers coming out of Japan shortly. Household spending, jobless rate, these will all be affected by the earthquake, of course, so we'll watch those ones. Yeah, that's quite a slew of data out there. Then we've got New Zealand money supply year on year for March, and then later in the day some further Japanese numbers, followed by some European, French numbers. And then out of the United States, personal consumption, pending home sales going into the late hours, early hours of tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow we have some further New Zealand data, followed by a little bit of Aussie private sector credit numbers. We've got some China business conditions survey numbers out, followed by a great big slew of data out of Europe. And then going into Friday night, we have Bernanke speaking at the Fed's Community Affairs Conference. Nothing too significant there, though, in terms of overall importance. Okay, so we can probably wrap up there. Because of these couple of technical difficulties, we've actually had to put some new software on the system here, and it's created a few headaches. So we'll get those sorted out and come back next week, hopefully all sorted out there. So till next time, happy trading, and we'll speak soon. Bye for now.